Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Menachos Daf Yudal. We begin at the Mishnah, which is on Yud Gimel Amud Beis, at the fourth wide line. So back to the Pigel topic. Says the Mishnah, Shachad Shnei Kvasim. So it's on Shavuos. They bring a pair of sheep together with two breads. So while he was doing the shchita, Shachad Shnei Kvasim on both sheep, he had in mind a machshava of pigel, lechol achas men achalas l'mocher. But he limited his thoughts to just one of the breads. So while he was shechting this sheep and this sheep, he had in mind to eat one of those two breads beyond the allowable time. Another example of a partial thought was hiktir shnei bazichen. While he's burning the content of the two spoons, the two baziche levayna de lechem apanim, he had in mind hiktir shnei bazichen lechol echad min asdar l'machar, to consume one of the sets of breads tomorrow, and he did not have any thoughts regarding the second set. What happens now? Rabbi Yossi Omer, well, the item that he thought about becomes pigel, but the other part is safe from pigel. It's possible, but because the process was done faultily. But in terms of the pigel label, that only lands on the portion that he thought about. Rabbi Yossi Omer, oisay achala. So in the first example of the two breads, only that bread that he thought about. And in the second case, regarding the lechem apanim, v'oisay I say there in that specific row of breads, shechisha v'alav, which he thought about pigel. That's pigel with the kares, right? V'chayav of kares, v'asheni, but the counterpart is apostle, but there's no kares. It's not pigel. V'ein by kares. V'chachamim oimrim, you can't divide. It's one offering. It's one package. If part is pigel, the whole thing becomes pigel. V'chachamim oimrim zeh v'zeh. They're both pigel v'chayav l'kares. Amar Rav Huna, says the Gemara. Let me explain to you how far Rabbi Yossi takes this halacha, and the reason for Rabbi Yossi's split approach to pigel. Amar Rav Huna, Rabbi Yossi would apply his concept of a split pigel even regarding the same animal. Pigel b'yerach shel yamin. He had in mind pigel on the right leg of the animal. Lo nispagla yerach shel shmol. The left foot will not become pigel, even though it's one and the same animal. It's one unit. It doesn't matter. Only the element that he thought about becomes pigel, but not the other part. My time. So why is this so? How can we differentiate between one part and the other part of the animal? Iba yisem a svara, iba yisem a kroi. It can be based on logic or a pasuk. Iba yisem a svara can be based on logic. Look, the machshava of pigel is no greater. It cannot be more impactful than an act, for instance, an act of tumah. Suppose a tumah event really occurred, not just thinking and intentions, but actually something invalidating came into contact with this carbon material. So imagine, ilu itami chad ever. Imagine if only one limb becomes tamei. Does that make the entire animal tamei? Of course not. Mi yatami leikule. This leg sitting here will not transfer over to the rest of the, right? So if I'm thinking to eat this leg tomorrow, why would it affect the other leg? Everybody you say makra. Or it can be based on a pasuk. If one generates pigel and consumes mimenu from this, there is a severe punishment. We learn from the word mimenu, from it, the item on which he plotted, but not the other item. So within the same carbon, you can split even legs. So Rav Huna, in a sense, is taking Rabbi Yossi a step further. Not only by two breads, which are distinctly separate entities, separate items, do you say, well, one doesn't affect the other, even within the same animal, which you would think is one and the same entity. Nevertheless, pigel to one leg does not apply to the other leg. Eisvei Rav Nachman, he had a question with Rav Huna. So even when there's a true connection, a physical connection between two parts, they don't affect each other. So we have a brisa which sort of reiterates the Mishnah's, machlekes. We have the Chachamim here who say, "Lo'olam ein ba ikaretz, ad sheyifagel b'shtein b'kazayis." A pigel thought will not generate kares unless he had a machshava to eat, chus l'zmanoi, a kazayis worth, and that kazayis is comprised of both breads. Okay, so basically, I had in mind to eat a half a zayis of this bread, half a zayis of the other bread. So we have a zayis in total, and now both breads become pigel. Okay, that's the statement of the brisa. Let's make an inference. Let's make a diuk. Ba'achas mehen loy. But if he's only thinking about one bread, the other one remains pigel free. Now, who's speaking in this brisa? Mani. Whose opinion is reflected in this brisa? We have the Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah. We have the Rabbanan. Even Lemer Rabbanan. Is this expressing the Rabbanan's opinion? That cannot be so. Afilu ba'achas mehen nami, because even if you had in mind just one bread, it would affect the entire package as per the Mishnah. El Pshita Rabbi Yossi. Apparently, this brisa is Rabbi Yossi's sheet. And now comes the kasha. Rav Huna says one leg is separate from the other, even though they're one body, one guf. One doesn't impact the other. So how could we be mitzarev? How can we combine a kazayis of both breads? Even if I'm combining them in my mind, joining them together into one kazayis of pigel, into one pigel thought, it should not be effective at all. Look, even by one animal, you say one leg is unrelated to the other. Certainly when there are two breads here, which are separate entities, just because I bound them together in my mind, I comprise the kazayis half from this, half of this. Why would it be pigel? Of course not. So that's a kasha on Rav Huna, who says that one element doesn't affect the other. Even when it's one guf, certainly when it's two breads. So clearly this brisa is Rabbi Yossi. Now comes the question, if we say by the two legs of the same animal, it's considered one guf. So likewise, by two breads which are originally two parts, but once I combine them in my thought process, I take a kazayis, half from here, half from here, that explains why they bind, they join, they combine, and you can make pigel. But in the case of the animal, we say this part isn't related to that part, despite them being from the same animal. Certainly by the breads, how can you combine? How could you join together two breads, which are certainly two entities, two items? So apparently, there's going to be a kasha on Rav Huna, that even Rabbi Yossi would agree in the case of the animal. Right, in the case of the two breads, he says one doesn't affect the other. But in the case of the animal, it's really one and the same entity. And likewise, when we have two breads that he joined together in his machshava, that affects a joining, that affects a connection, and allows it all to be considered like one package. Says the Gemara, not so quick. Perhaps Rav Huna is correct in his understanding of Rabbi Yossi. Regarding this brisa which allows connecting two breads, it's not Rabbi Yossi, it's Rebbe. A third opinion, Rebbe. Hamani Rebbe, who says that you need to do it this way. Let's see. The Sanya. We have a brisa. Hashechet es hakeves, le'echel chatzizayis mechalazu. So again, we have the two sheep with the two breads. He does shchita on sheep one, having in mind to eat a half a zayis, that's the half required amount, from one challah, beyond the right, the correct time. Okay? And likewise, he did shchita on the second sheep with the same type of thought regarding the other bread. To add a half a zayis of the second bread tomorrow. Rabbi says, my opinion is shezeh kosher, it's okay. The carbon is totally fine. Why? Because really there were two things wrong. He only had a thought of a half a zayis, in each sheep. Now, a sheep is called a matir. Each sheep is called a matir. It permits the carbon. It generates it activates the process. It helps develop the carbon. It's like a driver. Okay, so since he didn't have a full amount by each sheep, it doesn't work. So apparently the reason why there's no issues here, that's because he split into halves. By this sheep he had in mind half a kazayis, and by the other sheep he had in mind chatzi, another half. It doesn't work. But suppose he would have joined them together in his mind. Omar. So while he's doing the shchita on both sheep, he's saying, kazayis mishtein. I'm going to have a kazayis tomorrow, comprised of both breads, half a zayis of each bread, mitzdaref. That combined thought will in fact bind them together, tie them together, and it's pigul. So clearly, according to Rebbe, you can do this. Give him mitzaref, 2 halves, a half from each bread to make pigul. So perhaps the brayso that we cited earlier, which discusses this type of case of combining 2 breads, is Rebbe's shita, not like Rabbi Yossi. So it's not a kasha on Rav Huna. Well, hold it. Let's explore further. Rebbe's, opinion, Rebbe's position. Whose opinion is he in line with? We have, 2 general opinions regarding the split pigul situation. We have Rabbi Yossi, we have the Rabbanan. So now we can ask further. Rebbe Alibi Daman. Rebbe, who says you can combine the 2 breads in your machshava. Regarding the other question, the question we discussed in the Mishnah. Suppose you only had a machshava pigul on one thing and not on the other, on one bread, on one set of breads. We have Rabbi Yossi who says, only that part becomes pigul. Rabbanan say the whole thing becomes pigul. Whose shita would Rebbe adopt in that question? Before we discuss, joining together both breads in one machshava. Let's go back a step. Rebbe Libdaman, whose shita is Rebbe consistent with? Is it going like the Rabbanan, who say that if the pigul related to one bread, it affects the entire package? So Rebbe cannot be going with that opinion, because afilu, according to them, afilu ba'achas mehenam, even if the pigul related to just one bread, both become pigul. And in this brayso, Rebbe clearly says it's only going to be pigul on both if he had in mind a half a zayis of this, half a zayis of that, so he related to both. So certainly Rebbe is not going like the Rabbanan. We leave the Rabbi Yossi. So the only other option would be that Rebbe goes like Rabbi Yossi, and the second bread does not turn into pigul unless you relate it to it. Now, Rebbe adds, but if you go ahead and you have a machshava of pigul comprised of a half a zayis of each bread, so you combine the breads in your kazayis of pigul, it makes pigul. So now we're back to square one. Because if he's going like Rabbi Yossi, so clearly Rabbi Yossi holds you can join the breads together. Again, it's a kasha on Rav Huna who says we can never join 2 elements together. Hadra kushin leduch. Our question goes back to the drawing board. So we haven't really gained anything. It says in where lo'elam will leave the Rabbanan. No, perhaps Rebbe's shita, Rebbe who says you can have a machshava of kazayis, made up half of this bread and half of that bread, is going like the Rabbanan. In the general, question. They hold that, in fact, even if the pigul relates to one bread, the other bread becomes pigul. So then the question is, why would Rebbe even have to talk about both breads? Pigul on one bread is enough to be infagel everything. The answer is we have to revise our understanding of the brayso of Rebbe's opinion. Don't say that it's only pigul if he relates to both breads, as we had learned before. That's inconsistent with the Rabbanan who say even relating to one bread makes the whole thing pigul. All Rebbe meant to say was that since both sheep are critical to the process, they're both matirin, you have to have your pigul thought present while you're processing both sheep. Otherwise, you're running into the issue of chatzi mater. Pigul by chatzi mater, according to this, doesn't work. But you're right, in terms of which breads to think of, afilu ba'achas mehen. Even if you just relate to one bread, that's enough, like the Rabbanan shita. And the point is, lafukim with the Rameir. He's just opposing Rameir Shita, who says the Amar, who says mafaglan b'chatzi mater. Even if the pigul was present during half the mater, it's enough. Kamashman Deloy. The point of the Brisa is to stress that it's not so. Rabbi disagrees. He holds like the Shita of the Chachamim, that the pigul must be present throughout the entire mater situation. If you have two matirim, two drivers, like two sheep, you got to be doing pigul by both. But in terms of what you're relating to, even one bread is enough to invalidate, to be mafagel the whole package. Ask the Gemara, okay, so we seem to have solved our issue because we're not talking about Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, in fact, holds you can't connect one part of the carbon to the other, two legs, two breads, right? We're going like the Rabbanan, and Rabbi is just adding a twist. You can't do it with half the matir either. You have to relate to both sheep. So let's focus on just the semantics of Rabbi's presentation. He says, La'olam, it's never going to work until... What are we emphasizing with the word la'olam? It sounds like we're trying to highlight more than just one point of preempting the chatzi mater. If we'll take the original approach, that the point of the Brisa is, Rebbe is teaching, you have to relate to both breads, and during the processing of both sheep, so b'shtein on the breads or b'shtein on the sheep. So he's making 2 points. Rabbi Yossi, and in fact we're going to Rabbi Yossi, that you must relate directly to the item that you want to be mafagel, and also lafukim and the Rameir u'draban kasi, and he's coming to undo Rameir Shita, who says one sheep is enough, chatzi mater is enough. No, b'shnein has to be done with both sheep. Rabban also he's coming to oppose Rabban, who disagrees with Rabbi Yossi. So there are many points that he's making. That explains the word la'olam. It's never going to work unless right? Eli Amris. Rabbanon, if we take the other approach, that Rabbi is consistent with the Rabbanon. You relate to one challah, the whole thing becomes pigul. And the only point that he's really making is ulafukim the Rav Meir. He's coming to oppose Rav Meir, who says that one sheep, the pigul during processing of one sheep is enough. No, you need both sheep. My la'olam. What's the point of stressing the word la'olam? It will never happen unless. It's just one point that he's making. So that's one difficulty we have here. So in fact, it would appear from the choice of wording that Rebbe's going like Rabbi Yossi, that pigul only happens when he relates directly to the item that he wants to become pigul. Then the question is, so how could you combine both breads in machshava of a kazayis? If there's two separate entities, as Rav Huna had presented in Rabbi Yossi's opinions, how could you even join them together with a machshava? They're so far apart. Next question. V'oid, furthermore, again, what's the point? What's the objective? We're trying to prove. We're trying to ask on Rav Huna's presentation, interpretation of Rabbi Yossi. It would seem from the next brisa as well that, for instance, let's say he was mafagel the right leg, the whole thing becomes pigul, because after all it's one entity. It's not like the two breads. V'oid hamar of Ashi tashma. Rav Ashi brings a brisa. So we have Rabbi Omer Rabbi Yossi quotes Rabbi Yossi. Pigul. How does pigul happen? It only happens if he's engaged in an avodah outside, in the azara, and he's contemplating, consuming, or offering on the mizbeach something which is meant to be outside. So only external activities can become pigul. Rabbi Yossi pigul b'davar nasa b'chutz. If the machshava pigul occurred while he's processing a carbon outside in the azara, but let's say he had a mind to do something tomorrow, but this thing that he's thinking about is something which is meant to be processed in the heichal. That doesn't work. So again, pigul b'davar nasa b'chutz, pigul. If the machshava pigul occurs while he's processing outside, and the subject matter that he's thinking of is also external, pigul, that makes pigul. But b'davar nasa b'fnim like pigul. But something which is internal doesn't become pigul. Ketzad, for example, he's standing in the azara. He's doing a shchita, let's say, on a carbon. Ba'amar, he says, Harei neshech, I'm doing the shchita here. So the avodah is external. On condition to spray the blood of this carbon inside in the hechel on the pareches tomorrow. Like pigel, that doesn't become pigel, because that is internal. Shemachshava b'chutz, b'davar nasa b'fnim, because although the machshava is taking place outside, but the subject matter is internal. Likewise, he's standing in the heichel and doing, the hazah of the dam. V'amar, he says, I'm doing the application of these dam in the heichel. The intention to burn the fats outside, right? Tomorrow. To pour the leftovers on the mizbech outside tomorrow. There's no pigel, because although the machshava took place inside, but it's related to subject matter which will happen outside. The only way it's going to work is he's standing outside and doing, let's say, a shechita. Amar, he says, I'm doing the shechita now. I'm not to pour leftovers over here tomorrow, or to burn the fats tomorrow over here. Pigel, in this case, it's pigel because both elements are external, shemachshava b'chutz, and it's b'davar nasa b'chutz. Let's analyze the price. So he thought that he's going to pour the leftover blood outside. Now, what is he trying to make pigel? Which part of the carbon will be the recipient of this pigel, status? Is he trying to make the blood pigel? Since when does blood become pigel? Blood is immune to pigel. Blood is the driver of the carbon. It's the matter. It doesn't receive the pigel status. But now we have a Mishnah. Back in Mesechas Zvachim, the following items are not susceptible to pigel. Hakaimetz, which is a driver. Right? All these are drivers. The Levina of the Menachos Akteres, Menachos Kahanim, Menachos Nesachim, Menachos Mashiach, and finally Vadam, blood of a carbon. He's a provider. He's not a recipient. He will not become pigel. So apparently that's not his objective. Apparently he's trying to make the basar of the carbon pigel. And what is he thinking about? Pouring the blood in the wrong time in order to make the basar pigel. Two separate Look, even in this case, where he wasn't even thinking about the basar, he was thinking about the pouring the blood in the wrong time. He had no thought regarding the actual meat. Rabbi Yossi says, right, this Brisa was quoting Rabbi Yossi, that it becomes pigel. Look, I thought about A and B becomes pigel. Because it's part of the same carbon, part of the same animal. Certainly in the case of the two legs, two thighs, Rav Huna's case, right, the Chashabe B'Zev HaKufei, where he's thinking about the actual basar itself, just this thigh and that thigh. Wouldn't you agree, Lo Kershkin, of course, that in this case the pigel b'yerachim, and although his pigel related only to the right thigh, pigel b'yerach smells, certainly the left one should be affected as well. Void. Furthermore, here comes another kasha from Ravina. He quotes a Brisa Tashma which discusses a mincha in similar fashion to the previous Brisa, with a similar type of question. So we know this Mishnah from yesterday. He did the kmitza on the mincha with pigel in mind. Lechel shiria, to eat the leftovers, tomorrow. Or lahakter comes to lamachar, to be makter. This kmitza tomorrow, lamachar. In this case, moider Rabbi Yossi bezusha pigel. Even Rabbi Yossi agrees that it's pigel. V'chayav of kares is kares. Now, when he did the pigel, lahakter kaimtza, in mind, with the intention to makter the kaimitz tomorrow. Now, what did he have in mind to make pigel? Well, what's going to become pigel? Lifguli mai. Ilim lifguli kaimitz, is the kaimitz itself, the material within the kaimitz itself, going to be the pigel? Well, certainly not, as we discussed a minute ago. Kaimitz, by definition, is a provider, not a recipient. He never gets affected by pigel. Kaimitz. Maybe pagel, could the kaimitz itself become pigel? But now we have that Mishnah that I cannot. The following items are not susceptible to pigel. The first one is hakaimitz. Apparently he's attempting to make the shirayim into pigel. So he's thinking about the kmitza, and he's trying to affect the shirayim, and it works. Hashta, look, umahasam. Even in this case, lo yichashbu b'shirayim gufei, he wasn't even relating to the shirayim directly. Rather, he was speaking about the kaimetz. Nevertheless, mifagli, the shiraim certainly get affected and become pigul. Hacha, certainly in this case. Right thigh, left thigh. The chashabu bezvicha gufa, he was contemplating about the basar itself, about the animal itself. Kloshkin, certainly wouldn't you agree with me that the entire animal, entire basar should become pigul, although he related only to the right thigh. You know what? We're going to disagree with Rav Huna's notion. Of course, if it's one animal, it's one entity, inseparable. Rabbi Yossi was speaking strictly by two items, like two breads. Thinking about one doesn't affect the other. But if it's really one and the same entity, like one animal, or in the case of two breads, where he's combining them into one thought, a kazai is comprised half of this bread, half of this bread, that makes a tziruf. That ties them together, and of course, they both become pigul. So let me explain to you what's going on with the breads. Why is it that Rabbi Yossi says that if I only had in mind one bread, the other one stays free of pigul? But if I actually combine them into one thought, they're both affected. Because, these two breads have two, sides to them, so to speak. On the one hand, they're separate from each other. On the other hand, there is some sort of commonality between them. So it's up to you. You have the option of joining them together or keeping them separate. Regarding pigul, Hakosav Asan Guf Echad, the Torah treats them like one entity. Hakosav Asan Shnei Gufen. Likewise, the Torah treated them like two entities. How? Guf Echad, they're treated like one, Demakvi Adadi. They're both critical to the process. You can't have one without the other if you want a successful, carver. Shnei Gufen, on the other hand, Torah treats them like two. Damar Achmana, Torah tells us, by calling them shtayim, that two separate entities, you can knead them separately, form them separately. They don't have to be done together as one. Halachodavida, this one can be done separately. Valachodavida, this one separately. So they're two, but they're really one. So regarding pigul, arvinu, he joins them together into one thought. He intends on eating kazayis comprised of both these breads tomorrow. Misarvan, that connects them, and now they're both pigul. Why? Because we find that the Torah treated them like one entity. On the other hand, palginu, if he split them apart, he only relates to one and not to the other. Okay, so then they're separate. Mipalgi, they're treated like separate entities, and they don't affect each other. Because likewise, the Torah treated them like two. Boy, Rabbi Yechon, now comes a new question. So we know that when it comes to the shtei alechem, we have a machlekes. When it comes to lechem aponu, we have a machlekes. Rabbi Yossi says only that which you have thought about becomes pigul, not the other part. And Chacham say it's all interconnected. What about the breads of a toida? What about the breads of a minchas mafi taner? There are different types of breads. Do they affect each other? Or are they treated like separate entities? But Rabbi Yechon, pigul b'lach mitoida, he has a korban toida with 40 breads, 4 different types of breads. And he had in mind to eat one of those types tomorrow. What happens to the other types? What's the halacha here? Will Rabbi Yossi say, well, the other ones are safe, or no, since it's all one part of one korban, or relates to the behemoth, which is one, right? So it's like one entity. But minchas mafe, what about that minchas mafe tana, which has also a couple of types of breads? What's the halacha there? According to Rabbi Yossi, shall we say that only the type that you thought about becomes pigul, the other type is free, or do we say no? After all, it's one system because there's one kaimetz that's permitting the entire system here. So it's like one entity. That was his question. Tanalei. Rav Tachlifa Marab. So this Amoira responded to Rabbi Yechanan with a brayso that actually it's all one and the same discussion. According to Rabbi Yossi, v'china to'imer b'lachmei toida, just as Rabbi Yossi, separates the two breads on Shavuos, one doesn't affect the other. Same regarding different types of lachmei toida. V'china to'imer, likewise, we say b'minchas mafei that if one becomes pigul, not necessarily does the other one follow suit. Okay, so let's just recap. he was doing something, a shchita, and he had a mind, pigul, only one of the breads of the shtei lechem, only one of the sets of lechem aponim, or on only one of the types of lachmei toida or minchas mavitan, or according to Rabbanan, it's all one package. You can't separate. It's all pigul. According to Rabbi Yossi, only the one that you thought about, and not the rest. However, when it comes to the shtei lechem, as we explained, if he's to join them together in his mind, I'm going to eat a kazayis tomorrow, a zayis which is comprised of half kazayis of this bread, half of the other one. Since the shtei lechem really do have some sort of correlation to each other, in this case, they both become pigul. Tanu Rabbanan. So we have a brisa that pigul must have at least a kazayis. The machshava has to relate to at least a kazayis. But if he's thinking about eating half a kazayis tomorrow, that's not pigul. What happens? B'shas shchita chishev le'echel chatzi zayis. During the shchita, he's planning on eating half a zayis of the basar tomorrow. Ub'shas zrika chishev le'echel chatzi zayis. And then when he gets to the zrika, again, he has the same thought, a half a zayis of the basar tomorrow. Pigul. So you join them together, you add half to a half, and you get a whole zayis and it's pigul. Why? Because you can combine the half a zayis of the shchita and the half a zayis of the zrika to get you a whole zayis. Ikadamri. So the question is, we can join the shchita with the zrika. What about joining half a zayis during the Kabbalah with a half a zayis during the halacha? Right? There are four phases to the yakrava. There's the shchita, there's the Kabbalah, there's the halacha, there's the zrika. So shchita and zrika, yeah, they connect, they combine. Some say shchita and zrika. Only shchita and zrika have that uniqueness, the tarvaya matirin, because they both have a status of matir. They're both permitters, they're drivers, they're enablers. The shchita sanctifies the blood, and that has status like matir, and zrika is the ultimate matir. That's matir the basar for achila. So they're close enough there, and they can, team up to make pigul in. That works. But Kabbalah v'halacha, but if you're going to try to do the same with Kabbalah and halacha, so as you're receiving the blood, you're thinking half a kazayis. As you're doing the halacha, the other half a kazayis, that's not going to connect. Because they don't have that unique status of matir. They're just sort of, preparatory acts for the zrika, and you can't combine the two. If you have a full machshava of kazayis by Kabbalah, fine. By halacha, fine. But you can't take a little from here, a little from there. They don't really connect to each other. Some say, no, just the opposite. Hanach. If you're allowing a combination between shchita and zrika, which are at the extreme ends of this sequence, shchita is the beginning, zrika is all at the end, the merachim, they're so far from each other, you can still join them together. Kosh Kanhani is certainly combining a little of the Kabbalah, a little of the halacha and mekarim, because they're so close to each other. They're right after each other. So here comes a question on the main point of the brisa that allows combinations to begin with. Is that true? But Tani Levi taught us in the brisa, arba avodas, there are 4 avodas. And those 4 ein mitzdarfers lepigul. You cannot, combine them at all regarding pigul. What are the 4 avodas? Shchita, zrika, Kabbalah, v'halacha. So even shchita and zrika don't combine. Amar Rabba Likasha answers like this. It's a machlekes. This brisa that Levi just presented, that there's no combining. Rabbi, as Shitas Rabbi, who says you can't combine. Rabbanan, but the earlier brisa which allows combinations is the Rabbanan, the Sani. So this is the brisa we had earlier regarding the 2 sheep on Shavuos, which come with the 2 breads. So we will see that according to Rabbi, you can't combine regarding pigul. So he did 1 shchita on 1 sheep to eat half a zayis of the challah tomorrow. He did the same with the other sheep, to add half a zayis of the other challah tomorrow. Rabbi Omer, that's not pigul. Omer, my position is, she's a kosher. The carbon is safe and sound. Because you can't combine a half a zayis from this shchita with a half a zayis of the other shchita. Likewise, the Gemara is assuming you can't combine a half a zayis of the shchita with a half a zayis of the zrika. Amalei Abai responds, no. Why are we going to compare the two things? It's true that Rebbe holds you can't combine. That's there. Because each part of the plan related to just one sheep. So during this sheep he was taking a half, during this sheep he was taking half. So you have two problems. Chatzi mater. Each machshava, each step related to just half the mater. Each sheep is a mater, right? So both together is the full mater, full driver. Half a mater means a sheep. A sheep on its own is a half a mater, is a half a player. V'chatzi achila. And during that chatzi mater, he wasn't even thinking about a full kazayas, only half a kazayas. So you have two problems. Kulei mater v'chatzi achila mishamasle. But in our case, where true, he's taking a half a zayas at a time, but it relates to a full mater. By the shchita, which is a full mater, by the zrika, which is a full mater. Each one is a separate. So maybe there, it would work. You can combine them. Amali Rabba Barachan Labai. Really? So you're claiming that according to Rebbe, although you can't combine the two sheep, you can combine the shchita and the zrika within the same carbon. The Rebbe, if it's true that Rebbe would hold, like you were saying, that in the case of kuli mata v'chatzi achila, it would be pigel, half a zayis, but it relates to a full matter like a shchita. That could be used in combination with the other half to make pigel. So then in the case of the two sheep, he wouldn't be so easy about it and just let it go. Although there it's way worse, because there it's only on one sheep, which is half a matter. It's true, I understand. It's one step away, but one step away sometimes gets tricky. The Chacham make gzeres when it's just one step away from a real pigel, from the real thing. They should make a gzera, lest you come to do pigel, ligzar. They should apply a gzera and forbid, and consider it pigel, even by a case of the one sheep at a time. Chatzi mate v'chati achila. On account of, it shouldn't come to a case which is really pigel, which is just one step away of kuli mater v'chatzi achila, when it was a chatzi achila on a full mater, like a half a zayas on the shchita and a half a zayas on the zrika, which you're saying according to Rebbe is pigel. So then half a zayas by each sheep is close enough to that. At least midrabanan we should say it's aser, because we find elsewhere that there are gzeros regarding pigel. The Rabbi Yasi Gazar, we find that Rabbi Yasi disqualifies a carbon even though it's not really pigel, because it's close enough to pigel. The Rabbanan Gazri, we find the Rabbanan as well apply this type of concept and make something puzzle even though it's not really pigel. Where do we find this? Rabbi Yasi Gazar, this non Rabbi Yasi had a gzera, as we had yesterday. La'akter, he did the kmitza on the dough, and he had a mind to make the levayna tomorrow. So he's doing the dough thinking about the levayna. Rabbi Yasi says that's not pigel, but it's puzzle. Rabbi Yasi Aimer Pasal then by cars, V'chacham Aimer Pigel V'chayvim al cars. So we find that according to Rabbi Yasi, although it's not Pigel, but the Chacham that invalidated the carbon, because it's close enough. And likewise, you find the Rabbanan also will do this. Rabbanan Ami Gazri, they also make Xeris Isnan. We have the Mishnah later on. Pigel becomes V'lei B'Levayna, V'Levayna V'lei becomes. He had a machshava of Pigel during the Kmitza, not during the Levayna, or vice versa. Or May Aimer Pigel. Rabbi says it's enough for pigel. V'chayavim al cars and this cars. V'cham ain by cars. There's no cars. Actually, because the pigel did not attach itself to the entire mate, which in this case is the kaimes and a lavayna, but it was only on one on the other or the other. But they still make it puzzle. So we find that even though it's not technically pigel, they make it puzzle. So here as well, if it's true that Rabbi holds that if he thought of a half kazayas at a time, by the shchita and by the zrika, so it's a half a achila with a full mater, it's really pigel. So in the case of half a achila with a half a mater, like one sheep at a time, it should be puzzle with the Rabbanan. The Rebbe says it's fully fine. Why? It should be exera. Amar lei. So Abai responds, I'm still holding my ground, and I insist that Rebbe would say it's pigel by a half a kazayas with a full mater, but still. But if it's a half a zayis and a half a matter, like just one sheep at a time, it's not pigel, and it's not us even the Rabbanan. You know why? How could you compare? I understand. In the case that you mentioned, Gazer Rabbi Yasi comes to Levayna, Ata comes to Mincha. Rabbi Yasi says, look, this time you had in mind to do the Levayna, so it's not pigel, but next time you might have in mind to do the Kmitza, burn the kaimitz of the Mincha in the wrong time, so it's close enough. So we make it puzzle. And regarding the Rabbanan that were invalidate the mincha later on in Daf Tezayin. Rabbanu Gazri Kaimat to Kaimat Minchas Chayte. Although the pigul related only to the Kaimat, not to the Levina, which is only half the job, but they were afraid that if we let this through, sometimes you have a Kaimat of a Minchas Chayte, which only has Kaimat, not Levina. In that case, it's a full matter. So it's close enough. Or in the case where the pigul only related to the Levina, not to the Kaimat, so it's only half a job, but it might lead him to do the same with Levina of the Bazichim L'cham Apanim, where there all you have is Levina. So basically, there's a similar case, so it's close enough. So we make this puzzle as well. Kvasim, likewise in the case where he had pigul only on one sheep, we say it's puzzle. Nami, keves atua, keves chaveri. We make a gzera, even though we only had in mind this sheep, because because next time he might have in mind the other sheep as well. Sorry, because next time he might have in mind pigul during the other sheep as well. So it's close enough. It's one step away. Keves atu keves chaveri, bazach atu bazach chaveri. We had in mind pigul by this spoon only. Well, next time you might have in mind pigul by the other spoon as well. So you realize they're so close, and therefore there's the reason to make it possible. But in this case, aval hacha. In this case, we had a half a zayis in mind by each sheep. Aval hacha miika chatzi mate v'chatzi achila ba'amot leka v'ligzar. Is there a similar situation to justify a gzera? It's such an anomaly, such an unusual case. He's taking a half a zayis by a half a matter. That's so far away. That's steps away. It's worlds away from pigul. There's no reason to make a gzera. Continues the word. I'll even prove it to you from the wording of the Rabbanon. Hachanam Mustavra. It seems like that what I'm saying is probable. The time of the Rabbanon Mishmachwa, the reason why the Rabbanon made it possible, even though it's not technically pigul, is because of this very reason. Because it's very close to the real thing. It's just one step away. The Tani Sefer. Because look at the next part of that Mishnah there, where the Chacham say, if it's a chatzi matir, there's no pigul. But Chacham would agree to Rav Meir, minchas chayte, minchas knois. If it's a mincha that only has one matir, like a minchas chayte, all it has is kaimetz, doesn't have levina. Minchas knois likewise. So in that case, we agree, say the Rabbanon, shem pigul b'kaimetz, shem pigul v'chayel kares. If the pigul was present by the kaimetz and nothing else, of course it's a full-fledged pigul. Shah kaimetz or matir, because all you have is the kaimetz. Now, isn't this an obvious statement? Why do they have to state the obvious? Why even discuss this pshita? It's an obvious halacha. Mika mater achina. Is there any other competing matter in that case? Of course, it's only a single matter. Of course, it's full pigul. Elalav. Apparently, they're trying to make their point. They're trying to explain themselves. Hakamash. When the point of the Mishnah is to teach us the time of the kaimetz. The reason why Chachamim applied the psul status to the previous case in the Mishnah there, where the pigul was only there by the kaimetz, not by the levina. What do you mean? It's a chatzi mater. Just let the mincha go. It's kosher. Because it's very similar to the real case, to the problematic case. Because it's very similar to the case where all you have is a kaimetz, like a minchas chayte. So since these two cases are very close to each other, they're interchangeable. Therefore, say the Chachamim, true, if the mincha has both elements, kaimetz and levina, each one being a chatzi mater, pigul really should not kick in. When the pigul is only present by one or not the other, but midrabanan we make it possible because it's close enough to a case like a minchas chayte where all it has is kaimetz, not levina. We're over there. This very thought would make it truly pigul, so this becomes possible as well. But in our case, of the two sheep with the two breads, we have two deficiencies, so to speak, in the pigul process. First of all, it's only a chatzi mater, it's one sheep and not the other one. And it's only a chatzi achila, half a zayis per sheep. It's too far away from the real thing. So of course we can understand why Rebbe says it's okay. But in that case with the fellow is trying to combine the shechita and the zrika, where each one is a full matter. As Rashi explained, the shechita is mekadesh, matter the dam, and the zrika is matter the basar. So each one is a separate driver. So in that case, perhaps you could do a half a zayis by the shechita, combine it with a half a zayis of the zrika. Even Rebbe would agree that it's pigul. It's very different than the case of the half a zayis per sheep, as we just explained. That's too far from pigul. That's certainly kosher according to Rebbe. But that case of the shechita and the zrika, it's not a half a matter. Shechita is a full matter. Zrika is a full matter. Perhaps you can combine them. Half a zayis per. Okay, so bottom line is we had a brayso which in fact told us you can do that. Half a zayis by the shechita combined with half a zayis of the zrika. We had a question regarding Kabbalah and Halacha. Then we had another brayso which says you can't combine at all. Even shechita and zrika. We were not sure how to work this out. We tried to pin it with the shita of Rebbe and the Rabbanon. But it turned out that even Rebbe can readily agree with that halacha. Because it's very different in the case of the two sheep, where it's too far from any issues of pigul, and therefore Rebbe says it's kosher. Okay, let's do a quick recap of today's daf. We had the machlokes in the Mishnah between Rabbi Yossi and the Rabbanon. A fellow had a machshava of pigul on one of the breads, or one of the sets of lechem apanim. According to Rabbi Yossi, only that becomes pigul, not the rest. According to Chachamim, you can't differentiate. It's one carbon, it's one packet, it's all pigul. Gemara had a chiddush that Rav Huna had a chiddush that the same would apply to two parts of the same animal, but the Gemara asked many questions and sort of negated it. Rabbi Yechon came back and says, no, it's a special halach regarding the two breads. On the one hand, they're separate. On the other hand, they have some sort of commonality. And in fact, if you combine them in your mind, a kazai is half and half, half of each bread. So since in that kazayis you've combined the two breads, a half a zayis per bread, now they become one. They work together to make pigul on both breads. And then we discussed combining a half a zayis and half a zayis between the shechita and the zrika. According to some it works, according to some it's not pigul. All the best, you're not tzlacha rabbah.